Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. It is one of those foggy, damp, almost magical days in the winter. Well, I guess we're not officially into winter yet, but one of those really, really cold days that if you look outside the window, you could easily talk yourself out of coming outside. You could easily tell yourself that it's an inside day and it's a day just to cozy up next to the fire with a candle or something like that. But I have to say, getting out here, I am so happy. Like I said, it's almost magical with the fog and it's almost misting, but not quite. And the birds are singing. I see the birds flying over there. It's a really, really beautiful morning and I am spending it in the garden. So my plan for today is, first of all, I want to get my ranunculus planted. Last year, I invested quite a bit of money into fancy ranunculus, what I'm calling fancy ranunculus. I bought some really, really nice ranunculus corms from a flower farmer called fleurfarm.com. And I had read somewhere that it was important to invest some money in your ranunculus corms, and you will see the difference between ones you can just get at a big box store and ones that are like from a flower farmer. And I definitely saw a difference. Go back and watch that video, or those couple videos. I'll link them in the description and at the end of this video, but they were such a success. And so I actually pulled those ranunculus and I saved them for this year, and I've been storing them, and I'm just so excited and a little anxious and nervous to see if they're going to bloom as good this year as they did last year. I have really, really high hopes because I've been storing them really well inside in a cool, dark area in brown paper bags. So I think they'll be okay, but of course you never know. So I live in Northern California, zone 9B, and in my zone, it's important to plant ranunculus in the fall. You don't want to plant it in the spring, because if you plant it in the spring, it will get too hot too soon before they have a chance to bloom. With ranunculus, it's really, really important to remember that they are temperature sensitive and they start going dormant at, I think it's above 80 degrees. It's something really, really low, like not hot at all. I'll put it on the screen right now. So if you live in a climate where it warms up very quickly during the spring, like I live, it's important to plant your corms in the fall. Let them kind of grow, plump up, create roots, sprout under the soil all winter long, and then come the first signs of spring, they can start blooming and you can really enjoy them. So late last spring, when I pulled all of these ranunculus from my garden, I made sure that I had left them out long enough to soak in as much sun as the corms needed for them to bloom again this year. So I made sure that I left them until all the foliage was really yellow. And then I just cut them back, dried them off in open air, and then I stored them in brown paper bags inside my kitchen, in a cupboard in my kitchen, which my family is pretty used to now at this point, finding bulbs in the fridge or packs of dried flowers with seeds on them. So they've been in a nice, cool, dark area all year, and I labeled them, and I was really proud of myself for doing this because sometimes I don't bother to label, but I did really well with labeling these. You can see I didn't totally clean them up, what I could have done is I could have rinsed them off when I pulled them, but I decided just to store them as is and then rinse them off when I soaked them now this time of year. You can see they're looking pretty good. So for soaking your corms, if you have saved them from the previous year, or even if you've purchased new corms from a flower farm or even a big box store, you want to soak your corms for about 2 to 4 hours in room temperature water. You don't want anything too cold, and you definitely don't want anything too hot. The number one thing you have to remember when you're soaking your corms is you don't want to soak them for too long, because then that can cause them to rot and then they won't sprout for you. So 2 to 4 hours is a really good range. You can go up to 6 hours, I would say, but just be really careful. And then what I like to do is, as I'm letting them soak, I'll go in there and I'll kind of shake it up and create some air bubbles with my fingers just to make sure that there's lots of air in there, and also make sure that the corms are hydrating evenly. So as I was pulling all of these corms out from storage, some of them were looking fantastic, like the butterfly Ariadne ones, and some of them weren't looking as good. So I'm kind of 50-50 on how I think these ranunculus are going to perform this year. So as for the varieties of ranunculus, of my fancy ranunculus, just as a reminder, these are the same ones I planted last year. I didn't get any new ones. And the one good thing about that is last year I used these slate plant labels, plant tags. These are actually from hoselink.com, if you can believe it. They're slate, and I just used a gold paint pen on them, and they lasted perfectly. Like, they have not faded at all, and they were left outside in the water while the ranunculus were growing, probably until April, I would say, all winter long until April. And then I've been storing them in my office, and now they're already labeled, so I just reused them. So as for the varieties, I'm trying so hard to keep them separate and to keep them organized, but they literally all look the same. So it's going to be really hard. And I'm pretty sure I planted them pretty close to each other in the Vigo beds last year. So I'm pretty sure that I probably mixed them up just a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. When I picked these ranunculus from Fleur Farm last year, I tried to get a variety so I could see the different types of ranunculus and kind of try them out. And what I was going for last year is I was going for the three main areas that ranunculus are from: France, Italy, and then also Japan. So as for Japan, that's where the butterfly style ranunculus comes from. And the butterfly style ranunculus is so interesting and so beautiful. They're not ruffled like you would normally think of, or layered like you normally think of ranunculus. They usually have a single petal, but that petal has this sheen on it that almost makes them look fake. And the variety that I have for my butterfly style ranunculus from Japan is called Ariadne. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Ariadne. It's like a pale pink color, really beautiful. But again, if you get your hands on a butterfly ranunculus, it's the sheen. It's hard to explain. They look plastic. They literally look plastic. They're really, really beautiful. Check them out if you haven't seen them. They're really cool. Then I have another variety called Bonbon XL. It's a fuchsia colored bloom, and it's from Fleur Farm. It says it's the brightest pink variety that they have. So, of course I had to get that. I have my notes right here. The Bonbon XL are double flowering. Then we have Rosa, Elegance Rosa. These ones had really tall stems, and I have to say these were probably my favorite from last year. They were very similar in color to Super Tunia Vista Bubblegum, just that classic, beautiful pink color, and I just really, really loved them, and I found myself cutting off of these more than any other variety. Then I had Belle Violet, which is a French variety. It has deep burgundy blooms with a hint of grape, double flowering, high production, 9 to 15 stems per corm. These were the earliest to bloom for me, by far the earliest to bloom for me. So if you live in a really hot area, this might be a good variety for you. I didn't love the color of these. I don't know. I just didn't love the color. It wasn't my favorite one. Then there was Ponpon Magic. These were really, really interesting. These were like this dusty pink color with so many ruffles. This was an Italian variety. Then there was Hanoi, which is known as being like one of the most popular ones that florists use. Really, really pretty. It has a soft pink blush, cupped petals. They're just so beautiful. They're really, really gorgeous. Kind of have this tinge of green, really interesting. And then finally, a new variety called Romance Poodle Ramilia, fluffy, ruffled petals on huge pink blooms. So I really liked the variety that I got. Obviously, I leaned heavily on the pink, but it was just really cool to see all the different types. And I really wanted to see if I could over summer them, I would say, and see if I could save them for this year. So this is, again, just like last year was a big test on trying out these big, fancy, expensive ranunculus corms. This is a test to see if I can keep them and make them last. I could have left these in the ground, and it probably would have been better to leave in the ground. But space is, how do I say this? Space is not limited in my garden yet, right? I haven't completely filled my garden up, but the front and center spaces are. So when I had these front and center, I wanted to take them out and put something else front and center in the Vigo beds. So you absolutely can leave these in if you're a high enough zone, but I didn't really want to. Maybe maybe I'll leave these in because I'm going to put these in the beds over here in front of the greenhouse, the raised beds. So maybe I'll try and leave them in this year. We'll wait and see. I don't have to think about that till spring. So anyway, you want to soak your corms in kind of room temperature water, not too cold and not too hot, right? I just use the tap water from my hose. I think that that's fine. And then the most important, 100% most important thing is you don't want to soak them for too long. 2 to 4 hours is probably fine, maybe 6 hours at the most, but you don't want to soak them any longer than that because the biggest problem with these is them rotting because they've been soaked for too long. So I'm going to leave them in. I'm going to split the difference with 2 to 4 hours. I'm going to leave them in for 3 hours, let them soak, and I'll see how they do. You can see when I pulled them, I cut them, but I didn't super clean them. Like I didn't clean all the soil off and I didn't clean the stems off. I'm going to do that after I soak them and I check them out and see how they look. I also liked having the stems here because I am the worst at figuring out which way to plant. Not only these, but also anemones. I'm the worst at figuring out which way to plant them. So having the stems there is going to make them really easy to plant. So I kind of just left them like that. So yeah, these look really good. Look at these Ariadne. Look at how big that is. Isn't that insane? That is, oh my gosh, it's just huge. And then you compare that to the Ponpon Magic, and these corms were absolutely tiny. It's just really interesting. Anyway, so I have about 3 hours of letting these soak. I'm gonna just kind of move on with other things. While I was letting my ranunculus corms soak, I came back to check on them about every half an hour or so. And when I came back to check on them, I just used my finger to swish them around, make sure that they were getting soaked evenly, making sure that they were all underneath the water. I even grabbed the hose and sprayed some water on just to keep bubbles in the water to make sure that they stayed aerated. While I was waiting for them to soak, I decided to come out to the front garden and work a little on the zigzag planter. The zigzag planter has been looking really good all year, but it's finally coming to the end of its life cycle and it's about ready to be pulled. But I decided instead of pulling it, I was just going to give it a little bit of a haircut today to see if I could kind of just trim it up and try and extend its life just for a couple more weeks rather than pulling everything out, which probably would have been less effort and less work. I wanted to leave it in just so I could enjoy the blooms and enjoy the color for a couple more weeks until I was ready to plant cool season annuals and fall planted spring blooming bulbs. All right, I've been waiting for my ranunculus corms to soak for long enough, and while I was waiting, I decided to try and clean up the zigzag planter. It was getting really, really overgrown, and honestly, it's about time for me to pull everything out, but first I wanted to see what it would look like with a little bit of a haircut, and I think it looks kind of nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's the end of the season, but I still have blooms. You know, I still have heliotrope, and I still have supertunias, and it's still looking, I mean, I know it's a stretch. I know it's a stretch, but I figured I might as well just kind of give it a little bit of trim. It'll make it easier for me to pull the whole thing out, you know, when I do it in 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. And I figured I would just kind of clean it up for now because it was starting to look very, very long in the tooth. And I think for, you know, I mean, I think maybe I spent 30 minutes on this. I think for 30 minutes of work, it looks pretty good. Whoa, what? What was that? Did you see that? What was that? Was that a snake in its mouth? Ew. I don't know how that bird got a snake in its mouth because we don't have snakes around here. We don't have snakes and we don't have spiders and rats and mice and all the other type of stuff, right? Like this. I don't know how that got there. That's very strange. Okay, so these corms have been soaking for about a little over 3 hours, so they're ready to plant out. that blue sky, isn't that nice? That is how it's been all week here. It's been cloudy. We've had fog advisories. It's been foggy all day, and then it just clears up just as the sun is starting to set. So we've had really nice evenings, but really misty, cloudy, foggy days. But that's okay. I like it. It reminds me of where I grew up in Sonoma County. This is how the weather was it was like this year round there, which is closer to the coast. Anyway, so I've got all my ranunculus planted, but as you can see, I haven't covered them back up yet because I thought I was going to use the existing drip that we already had in here, but I've decided I wanted to change it a little bit, so I need to leave it open so that I can change the drip irrigation. I actually think I'm just going to flag everything and do it tomorrow just because I'm running out of time. But you can see I planted all of them pretty far apart this year. Last year I did them 6 inches apart. You only have to do 3 to 9 inches apart. And I only did 6 inches last year, and it was definitely smashed together. They were fine, but they were definitely close. And this year I planted less of them. I only planted 6 of each variety, 6 corms of each variety, and I planted them further apart. So I'll be interested to see how they do. I think they're going to do really good. All of them plumped up really, really well. And because I only planted 6 of them, I was able to cherry pick the nicest, fattest, biggest ones, which I think will be good. So anyway, these are in, which is great. I'm going to cover them up right now. And like I said, I'm going to flag them, put little flags on them, and then I'll have Jason to the rescue. Jason, come out and help me hook these up to drip, which should be pretty easy with the two of us doing it. So all in all, pretty good. I do think I need to give a bit of a disclaimer on planting these ranunculus, or how I stored these ranunculus. I don't always do things the right way, and I don't think you need to do things the right way in gardening. You have to figure out what works for you, figure out what works for your garden, and figure out what works for your energy level. You know what I mean? But since I am on YouTube and I am talking about planting ranunculus and storing them, I feel like I should say the right thing. And the right thing is that when I stored these ranunculus, I should have cleaned them off in the spring before I dried them and stored them. I should have trimmed off all of the stem, and I should have trimmed off the roots and cleaned off all the soil, because leaving that on in storage can lead to rot. I didn't have any trouble. I did not have any rot on any of my ranunculus. They were all perfectly fine, but that is the right way to do things. And I feel as though I need to say in every one of my videos, do as I say, not as I do. So anyway, I know you guys understand. So I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today. Sorry, you guys, a quick PS. I forgot to talk about this in the video, and now I am doing pickup. Sadie went to the movies with her friend. Did you love it?
It was so good.
What'd you see?
Wicked Part 2.
Wicked Part 2 apparently is amazing. Both girls have seen it and I have not seen it. But I just wanted to remind you all, I told Jason and Courtney I would remind you guys, and I forgot to say, we're having a fabulous Black Friday sale on the website with all of our merchandise, 30% off everything, and that is on top of any discounts that we've already had on the classic merchandise. We are also doing free shipping on all orders over $50. The discount applies to gift boxes as well. We have ornaments. Really, really great deal going on until December 2nd. So head over there, shop small. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you in the United States, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.